We got to protect we waters from the strangers. Patrol we waters like a ranger. Keep we Riverine from harm and danger. For a better ecosystem and better tourism. Can't come trick we in we water. Can't come pollute we land and river. Can't destroy we wildlife or marine life. Guyana will shine. Guyana will shine. Guyana is a land of many water. 83,000 square miles. Guyana, Brazil and Suriname, Venezuela. All we share the same borders in Guyana.
Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Professor Edward Greene, Vice Chancellor, Professor Paloma Mohammed Martin, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academic Engagement, Professor Emmanuel Cummins, our partners, our building donor, Mr. Mohindra Prasad, Director of the University of Guyana, Berbice Campus, Professor Gomati Nayagam Subrayamin, special invitees, well-wishers, in my capacity of chair of this afternoon's opening ceremony, I welcome you to the start of our program, and we shall proceed with the national pledge. Shall we all stand for the pledge? I pledge myself to honor always the flag of Guyana, to my country, be obedient to the laws of Guyana, to love my fellow citizens, and to dedicate my energies towards the happiness of children. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite our Chancellor, Professor Edward Greene, to address us. And shall we turn to the screen to listen to his address? He is online.
I am delighted to join the Vice Chancellor and the senior management team of the University of Guyana, the faculty, students, members of the Berbice and Guyana communities present this afternoon to celebrate this venture so aptly located in the county of Berbice at UG's campus. It is a timely initiative designed as a multidisciplinary approach to training and educating the Guyana's next generation of environmental scientists, which is a critical way of fulfilling Guyana's mission. I'm sure that in pursuit of this national achievement, the CARICOM region as a whole will also benefit from this innovative hub. It is indeed a formidable collaborative venture for stimulating active biotech researchers. It is also a timely facility for providing students and members of our communities opportunities to learn from research activity of this institute aimed at tackling issues like hydrology, biodiversity, climate change, and pollution using a transdisciplinary approach to problem solving. At this time when the world has just experienced COVID-19 and continues to experience the ripple effects of one of the most devastating health crises, imagine that scientists at the University of Guyana's Institute projecting into the future, engaging in cutting-edge research in microbiology, molecular biology, and biotechnology, using marine organisms. And imagine how these initiatives would trigger the prospects for the development of new drug therapies as alternative energy and innovations to improve public health. Imagine also the Institute's contribution to sustainable marine aquaculture and fisheries in the marine ecosystem of Guyana, with the possibilities of fostering early stage companies and industry partnerships, contributing to economic development, not only in Berbice and Guyana, but the entire Caribbean region. Imagine that this initiative is designed to include the participation of all citizens and not only students at the university. As we launch this initiative today, let us dream dreams of its potential for the University of Guyana, for Berbice, and Guyana as a whole. Let us convert this dream into realities to achieve through partnerships, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And let us position this institute to truly achieve its goals of providing advisory services to stakeholders in various areas like business, environmental impact and assessments, and policy planning. Ladies and gentlemen, in this Olympic season, it is fair to say in this way, we will all be winners. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Greene, for highlighting the realities of our imagining. And at this time, I'd like to call on our director of UGBC to provide the official welcome. Let's put our hands together for that.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Honorable Ministers for Vikram, Ministry of Natural Resource, and Honorable Minister LJ, Minister of Public Works, and Honorable Parliamentarians, and CEO of Non-Profit Group of Company, Chancellor, my beloved and dedicated Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellors, and SMT members, and also from UGBC, UAUB, and special invitees, and also media. A heartful welcome for this event. This is one of the wonderful event and milestone for University of Guyana, especially University of Guyana Berbice campus. I have heartful thanks to our Vice Chancellor. She is 11th Vice Chancellor, female Vice Chancellor, our hemisphere, and the history of Guyana, first female Vice Chancellor. When you take your power as a Vice Chancellor, I'm proud to say, always support the Berbice campus. Terms of development. Of course, she working whole university. Whenever I approach, she will ready to support Berbice campus. And also we have to happy our honorable, our excellency, our president already announced, okay? He always say, the Berbice has a lot of resource. Now it going to prove because of my Vice Chancellor and all my staff, both UAUB. And last but not least, I have to heartful thanks to the CEO of Non-Profit Group of Company. This building, because of this Vice Chancellor and former Vice Chancellor, established for soil, later on plant testing lab. And I proud to say now, this institute very, very important for especially reason 6. I thought long, but my thought and dream now come true because of my beloved respect to Vice Chancellor. Thanks once again. I won't take much time. I thank you, heartful welcome for this wonderful event. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Professor Gomes, as we call him, for your warm words of welcome. And at this time, I'm delighted to invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Palomo Mohammed, to take the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Ministers Ejil and Bharat, parliamentarians who have taken the time to come up here, Mr. Uncle Mohin, as I call him, Nan Prasad, those persons who are our partners. You see 10 of them listed on the program here, from the various agencies who are involved with water and the maritime and marine sector. Members of the international community that we work with who are online. Today is one of those days when we have more people online than we have in person. And so thank you very much. And of course, our Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, the country of Guyana has 365 rivers, as many rivers as we have days in the year. We have had these rivers for, of course, they've been there for eons. But one has to beg the question as to why we have not at the university been able to bring together all of the work that needs to be done on water, waterways, and in the maritime sector, oceanography. We have an ocean that is at one of our borders as well. We're very lucky to be part of the coast that is the Atlantic Ocean. But we have not been able to bring together in the last 61 years of the university's existence an institute or a teaching program that looks at this thing holistically. It's not for the want of trying. The first paper, that is about 300 pages long, was written in 1983 under a UNESCO commissioned project, which never saw the light of day. I want to thank Professor Judith Rosales, who might be online right now, from wherever she is in the world. She's retired, and Professor Emeritus. But she brought back to life in about 5 or 6 years ago another paper about water and water management and coastal work, because she was a coastal biologist. And then today must be a special day for Professor Gomes. He has not mentioned this in his graciousness, but his own wife, who passed away last year, Dr. Radha Gomatanayam, was the next person who was sent to study for a PhD in marine biology. And unfortunately, in the middle of doing this work, she passed away. So Professor Gomes, I know Radha is with us in spirit, and I know that your heart is sad, but you're still happy that we've been able to do this here at Berbice. And then Philip De Silva, who is a marine biologist himself, decided he was going to bring up a program in marine biology that we had been working on for some time. This was serendipitous because the government of Guyana, the present government of Guyana, saw it fit to allocate to the University of Guyana and the Berbice campus in particular funds to start the design and development of this institute. And we really want to thank them for that, because had it not been for those funds, we would not be standing here today. Now there's a lot, yes, you can clap, please do. You have to clap and good things. So also, we're also thankful because there's a lot that this institute will do. We're thankful to Uncle Mohin from Caribbean and the Anthropocide Group, who has always been very supportive of the Berbice campus and now has given us space in the building to have our labs done and to have offices. So we will need some more space later on, but this is a good start with the programs we're going to be doing. Now, depending on who you read, I'm going to give you some more numbers. Depending on who you read, the labor survey in the country, if you read Hussein, if you read DAI, if you read some people from the University of Guyana, you will see numbers varying from 2,000 to 6,000 in the area of the needs for labor in the area of the marine and maritime sector. And this, of course, will range from very simple mechanics, engineers, people dealing with maritime law, people dealing with aquatics, people dealing with safety, people dealing with engineering, navigation, etc. It's a very complex area. And of course, the university is not going to be able to and is not trying to do all. We're just trying to fill the gap that exists in some of the high-end areas. So over the next 4 years, we expect to be able to turn out between 500 and 700 people in marine biology, law, engineering, port security and port management, biotech, aqua biotech, and other areas that are required. One of the very interesting things, though, about this center that should not go unnoticed is that we have included, and it's the only one in the world that is doing this. And of course, we benefit from our colleagues overseas and in the rest of the world. So they have been advising us and guiding us, and we thank them for that. Many of them are online. Why am I saying this? Because it is the only institute in the world that includes rivers along with ocean and coastal work. And it includes ecologies, meaning everything about the waters, with studying the economics of the areas. So it's very unique in this area, in this regard. And we really, really are looking forward and have to work continuously with a lot of other people. So why are we in Berbice, you might ask? That's my final point. And it's like a no-brainer, but you still have to explain these things to people. We have a campus in Berbice that is now celebrating a big anniversary. It's 25 years this year. And it is a campus that has not been attracting as many people as we want to see in Berbice. And so one of the strategic goals of the university's blueprint is to have at least one graduate per household by 2040. And that does not mean one graduate per household on the coast, from the coast alone, which is where many of our graduates are coming from, but from all across the country. Because if you want to develop a country, you have to make sure that everybody, at least one of those households, has an ability to uplift that entire family and to create a model for those looking on. So we have been thinking about how to deal with the Berbice campus and make the best of the resources here for some time. And one of the strategies that we have decided to work on is to send people to study certain disciplines at the Berbice campus. So if you want to study anything to do with marine, maritime, you have to come to Berbice. That means that people listening should start looking at accommodation for students and staff, because more people will come here. But we will also bring the infrastructure and construction program here, which is what Berbice has been asking for. So Minister Edgell should be happy with that part for his ministry. So that we send people here, not only do what Berbicians want, but we also send people here to kind of spike and dynamize the social and economic space, but also the academic space. Also, we also have been speaking with our colleagues in Brazil, Suriname, and French Guyana, what the president calls the Golden Corridor across here, to support them with things that they need to do work in as well. So this is also part of the plan why Berbice is so very important. But also Berbice itself as a powerhouse. I have always felt that it has the best potential actually in the whole country. And my staff know this. I've been saying so for 4 or 5 years that this place has, I feel, given all the work that we have done on scoping, a lot to offer the rest of the country as the Georgetown kind of outgrows itself. So it is very important for us to remember that it's not by accident this is in Berbice. There's much more that has to come. This is a beginning. I want to thank everybody, and in particular those who are very busy and have traveled all the way up to come. They could have said, "Oh, I'm going to do this online," but to take the time to come, we really, really appreciate this, and really, really respect that from you. And in that regard, I'd like to take the liberty of asking Madam Chairman, given the 2 ministers' schedule, they have 2 other things to do here in the region. So if you could kindly modify the program a little bit to allow them to speak a little higher up. So if they need to leave, they can leave. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for all the work everybody has done. It's a lot of people doing a lot of work. And so those are my very brief orienting remarks. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, for providing us with that ecological context, all of the interconnected systems that resulted in this center. and that will also benefit from the establishment of this particular center. We're going to have a change in the program after we listen to the overview of the Institute by Mr. Calvin Bernard and Mr. Philip De Silva. We're going to have the keynote speakers who will be our ministers. Thank you. So I was just informed that we're going to have just Minister Barrett addressing us. For now, okay. All right, at this time, I'll invite Mr. Bernard to provide us with an overview of the center. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rose. Good afternoon, everyone. Minister Vikram Barrett, Minister Juan Edgel, all other invitees, members of parliament, and I will stand on the university protocols observed, given that this is perhaps one of the longer of the presentations. I'd like to invite my colleague and long friend, Mr. De Silva, to come forward. He's hiding himself at the back. And could we go back to the first slide, please? Thank you. I'm going to try to do this collaboration. As I get into the formal presentation, I wanted to take time for a little personal note. I started my ventures around the water, bending fine pins, literal fine pins, not the baby pins, to make fishing hooks to fish the trenches in the back of Plaisance. And then turned that into something with the interactions with persons like Mr. De Silva, who was at the university at the time as a lecturer, just returned from UWI a few years before. And then when I was done studying and had built some bit of a rep studying freshwater fishes, I came back to the university and stole his office. Well, he gave it to me somewhat reluctantly, and discovered that we were occupying an office that had been occupied by aquatic biologists over many years. Dr. Tej Singh, who studied tilapia at UWI for his PhD, had been in that office, and Dr. Joshua Ramsamy had been in that same office as an aquatic biologist. So UG has a long history in aquatic biology and aquatic sciences in general. So Professor Mohammed has given somewhat a significant backdrop to the work that led up to the establishment of the center itself. I want to just talk a little bit about that in a minute, but I wanted to first address the name. That the one up? Next slide. And I really thought that VC would mention the first two words. But in a nutshell, because people go, what world is that? What is that? And it's just really a reflection of what is fact. Guyana as this place with many waters. We are, in a sense, a water world in many regards. But the other parts of that name, critical, is to reflect the fact that this institute focuses on the aquatic environment, the entirety of the aquatic environment. And VC pointed out it's unique. We're going from headwaters down into the oceans and the return back there. It looks also at the ecologies. So what people would essentially think about are the environmental stuff and the science stuff. But it also looks, of course, at the practical issues of the economies that are built upon those ecologies. Next slide. So VC mentioned again that there was a UNESCO study. I think at the time, Dr. Tej Singh, was Dean of the Faculty of Natural Sciences when the UNESCO was invited to do a study about the potential to establish such an institute. And they did recommend the establishment of the Institute of Aquatic Sciences. This proposal then built significantly upon that and upon the updates from persons like Professor Rosales and other aquatic scientists within the university, recognizing the significance of the aquatic ecosystems that we have in Guyana. There are some stats there kind of splattered, just to recognize the significance, for example, of the Essequibo. And really, if we combine the major rivers, it drains about 75% of Guyana. Then we have a significant territorial C and EZ, the exclusive economic zone. We have lots of resources within the Riverine and marine environments. And we have an abundance of water resources. But we've had some limits on our human capacity over those times. And this is part of what this institute is addressing. When you look at the institutional landscape, we see some of it a bit sectorized. There's no specific permanent level multi-stakeholder group focusing, for example, on the aquatic environment, should better put that. And we see this, we've seen similar things at UGBC also mentioned in the assessments of the human capital needs. There's significant capital needs that relate to the marine and maritime and the aquatic, the riverine environments in particular. So the institute was established, I'm remembering the date for the academic board passage more accurately, so I'll refer to that in May of this year after some significant work. And its mandate is to work in synergy. That's the first thing I would point out. It's not an institute to try to take over anything, but to rather connect with others and to see where the gaps are and to fill those gaps. So within the university, within the national landscape, within the international landscapes, filling the gaps as it relates to the marine and riverine ecosystems, and then also as it relates to education and training, research and publications, innovations, practice, and consulting services. So I mentioned some of this before. We work in a specific geographical space, the marine and riverine spaces. It's a transdisciplinary center, so it's not confined to any one discipline, but it recognizes the value of all the disciplines contributing to exploring and finding solutions. Its main operations will look at education and training, research and innovation, and advisory and consultancy services. Next slide. I'm sorry if I missed a couple of them. The core work, there were some core areas that were early identified for the work of the center, which includes marine and riverine biodiversity, ecology, and pollution, marine engineering, computing, and robotics, marine and riverine governance, jurisprudence, and policy, economics, tourism, and transportation, ports in relation to management, security, and preservation, and the aquatic pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, which is on the cutting edge areas as it relates to biotechnology. Next slide. Again, the synergies of working to integrate into the work of the Institute, existing academics within the university, but also bringing in persons in the profession that are not necessarily part of the institution as fellows to help drive the needed work in these areas. And then, as I mentioned, to fill gaps. I'm going to skip over this. It's a laundry list of persons that would have been engaged, some of whom are represented here in person and some online. Next slide, please. All right. So this is pretty small. My apologies. I thought it would show up a little larger there. But just to give a sense of how we've set at the Institute critical areas for working in for education and for the research, innovation, and provision of services. I'm going to just jump forward and to the next one, please. Sorry. Wanted to identify a couple of persons. So I've already identified Mr. Philip De Silva. He is the Deputy Director for the Institute. And we have also Mr. Troy Brooms, a first degree marine biology and then in aquatic aquaculture. Please, Troy, he's right across there. And Miss Rashmi Balram has been serving as the AO for just about a month now. She's somewhere around. I'm not seeing her face, but I'm sure she's somewhere in here, ensuring it all goes well. Next. So in terms of location, if you needed any more justification than VC provided, you can take the sort of what's there. It was a considered decision. One of the things that highlight is just the future developments that's already started. When you drive over the Berbice River and look to the left, you'll see the base for structures being laid out in terms of establishment of deep water ports in the Berbice River. And myriad of other reasons why it makes sense to come to Berbice first. But because of the nature of our aquatic environment, it makes sense to also expand out into other areas. So that's the way in which we work and establish study points, filling gaps where there are no established points, and building synergies with established research or otherwise community-based centers that work in this area. My final bit here, and then I'll hand over to Mr. De Silva to go. Yes, right slide. So in terms of the immediate focus of the work of IMAREE, we're going to work with partners to define the immediate research agenda, service provision, and the community engagement priorities for the immediate future. And to go jump headfirst, our whole body, into the education side with the delivery of programs in the coming academic year. Those programs will be focused on the marine ecosystem largely, because that's where we have lacked a degree and other programs. There in the marine environment, the focus around maritime would be more about targeting those gaps, again, that currently exist in port management, with security, shipping and logistics. And then also focus on advancing graduate studies in the enriched marine environment and maritime studies also. So with that, I'm going to invite Mr. De Silva, who will take you through bits of the program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Bernard. I will continue after all protocols have been observed. Mr. Bernard would have given you an overview of the establishment, the conceptualization of this program, of the Institute. What I am going to do is just to take you through a number of the programs that we're going to be offering. Some we're actually ready to offer, and some we're thinking, working on them. So hopefully one would be in future days be able to see the genesis as well as the growth of the Institute. So one of the first programs that we're looking at is the BSc program. And this BSc in marine biology, as it says here, it builds largely on a foundation in general biology. Previously, the university would have been offering a biology degree program, and there were some options, but most of the students were taking the general option. And so now introducing the marine biology, it will offer even those who would have graduated with the general option already to actually come back and specialize in marine biology. So there would be, the program would be either a 2-year program or a 4-year program, depending on where the individual will start. And it will provide basic information that would be very relevant for developing the skills of anyone who is seeking to become a marine biologist. There would be 3 main pathways of focus. We have the climate and pollution as it relates to marine environment. There is the fisheries and aquaculture option, and there is going to be the one that speaks to the general option. Next, please. Another program being offered would be the Diploma in International Shipping and Logistics. This would be a 2-year program, and it's developed for professionals to enable them to improve their efficiency and effectiveness in terms of their functioning when they're examining this system of shipping and the logistics, because there's a very complex area and one that needs specialists in that area. It will lay the foundation for the degree in port management, and this is a program that will be delivered in collaboration with a regional partner. Next, please. And coming from that foundation, we will offer a BSc program in port management. Again, depending on your level of entry, it can either be a 2-year or a 4-year program. A 4-year if you're starting from scratch, as one would say, or a 2-year if you're coming in with the previous postgraduate diploma, the diploma program. It will build, as it says here, on the basics on shipping and logistics, and again, allow professionals in that area to develop their level of expertise, their skills, and their knowledge, so that their efficiency and effectiveness in terms of port management would be realized. Again, this would be a program that would be delivered in collaboration with a regional partner who already has such a program established. Next, please. And then there is the BSc in Marine Biotechnology. Earlier on, you would have heard the Vice Chancellor and Mr. Bernard mention about biodiversity as it relates to the marine environment. And this is one of the areas that's becoming very popular in terms of getting pharmaceuticals coming from marine organisms to enable us to now be able to develop treatments for various illnesses. And so the University of Guyana is hoping to get into that cutting edge in terms of teaching and delivering a program in marine biotechnology. This program is designed to be a 4-year program. And again, it is going to be, as it says, preparing specialized professionals to explore the marine environment, to identify and develop resources for nutrichemicals as well as pharmaceuticals. Now, it is envisaged that because of the nature of such a program, it is going to be interdisciplinary and it will have a lot of practical hands-on training. Now, this is a very, very interesting and important program. And given the fact that even though in Guyana, we know that we have a lot of terrestrial resources, we also are aware of the existence of some marine organisms that would be very useful. No real studies have been done using our organisms. So it would be very interesting to see when the students actually do their research to see what comes out of this and how far it could be taken. This is one of the programs that one can very well see a lot of monetizing of our biodiversity emerging from this. Next, please. And then we have graduate programs on the cards. There is the MSc in Marine Biology, which is envisaged to be a 2-year taught program. Again, this would be one that looks at advanced studies in specific areas of marine biology. It will be delivered using a mixed method approach where you will have taught programs as well as research. Research would be a very, very integral part of these programs. And given the newness of this kind of program in Guyana, it would be very advantageous for students to actually engage in the kind of research, which will very well give a lot of new ideas and a lot of new products coming out. Again, it's going to be, as it says, a natural and fast track transition from the bachelor program. And at the moment, we have a lot of persons with a bachelor degree, and they still keep asking, what can I do now? Where can I go? And it's sad sometimes when they ask or when they say, can I only teach? And that sometimes hurts me because teaching is a noble profession. But when someone out there just says only teaching, you have to try and let them know, hey, yes, there are options, but do not do that. So this would be one that we're hoping that the teachers and the lecturers within the program, but by the time these students graduate, they will be able to have a wider view of where their options can actually take them. Next, please. So yes, one can plan and one can have definitive or definite programs that they're going to deliver, but then one also has to think about the future. And so under consideration are a number of programs which hopefully would be meeting some of the needs and fitting in some of the core areas that were identified earlier by Mr. Bernard. Among those programs under consideration, we have the BSc in Marine Transportation, the BSc in Marine Engineering, the BSc in Coastal, Riverine, and Ocean Management. And at this point, it's important because we've been talking about riverine ecologies and the marine aspect of things. And there is that bridging area, the coastal environment, which is very, very important. And so we definitely need to find a way to incorporate all 3 of those ecosystems. So this would be a very important program. Then there is the BSc in Port Security, the postgraduate diploma in Maritime Law, the master's degree in Maritime Law, and the MSc in Marine Biotechnology, which would be building on the BSc program that would have been offered previously. And so those are the programs that are under consideration. Next, please. And that will bring me to the end of the presentation, as in what the Institute intends to offer now and in the future. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard and Mr. De Silva, for that in-depth overview of the center and its program now and in the future. At this time, I take great pleasure in welcoming our Honorable Minister, Barrett, to address you. Shall we put our hands together and welcome?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My colleague, Minister Edgil, my colleagues, parliamentarian, Mr. Ramsarupan, Mr. Duncan, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, my very good friend, Dr. Cummins. I must also recognize our lecturers, our professors who are all here. My good friend Brooms too, who I often see in the gym more. And of course, Mr. Bernard and Mr. De Silva, who happens to be my lecturer once at the University of Guyana, our lecturer at the University of Guyana in the late 90s. I know I look young, but I'm not that young. In the late 90s, I can recall being in his office a lot, sometimes even bothering him. He would say, "You guys need to get to your class now. I have enough work on this table." And those of you who attended university that time, you would know when you go into his office, there's always piles and piles of documents on his table. I don't know if it's the same. Let me say that I am happy to be joining you here this afternoon at this very simple but very significant, important, and timely launching of what I think maybe it will be called commonly the Marine Institute of the University of Guyana. And I particularly like the blend that you have attached to it. It's not only about conservation and preservation, but it's also about the economics, the business opportunities, what benefits can be derived through the marine economy and working in that space. That is important too, because if you're going to attract young people to study and to get involved in this sector, then it must also be lucrative and it must have benefits for them. Otherwise, we may very well only attract the ones who are only interested in conservation and preservation, which sometimes, in my capacity as Minister of Natural Resources, referred to as the extremists when it comes to the environment. And, you know, being on either side of the extreme is not good for our country or the development in our country. And my apologies if I offend anyone here, because maybe there are lecturers here who are very much in tune with the preservation of the environment. And I respect that and I commend you for that. But our policy as a government and I think as a country should be balancing economic development with environmental sustainability. I think that should be the best approach for any economy and for any country, because we cannot be on any of the two extreme ends, because we may very well be carried away and get so consumed in preserving our forests and our waterways and to keep our trees standing while our people are falling. And then on the other hand, we can be carried away with the exploration and production of natural resources and clearing our forests. And then we will become part of the problem with regards to climate change and global warming. So that is why I say that we need a balanced approach. And any international forum I attend, I recently went to the Amazonia Forever Forum in Belém, Brazil. And that was our takeaway as a country, because there were many people there who are totally in agreement with conservation and preservation. And they don't see economic development in the Amazon basin as a priority. I will say that is an unfair position to take, especially if you're coming from a developed country. Because those very developed countries at some point in time in their history had it the other way around. When they utilized their resources to develop their country and to provide the kind of facilities that they have in the country today, are telling us that you should keep your forest standing, you should preserve your marine space, and don't bother with your people. They will survive somehow, which is unfair. Which is unfair to say to a country like ours. And that is why we have been criticized heavily with our policy with regards to the oil and gas sector. I can recall once when the Vice President mentioned that our depletion policy in the oil and gas sector is to get the hydrocarbon out of the ground as fast as possible and to use the revenue or resources from it to develop the other sectors, to provide a better life for our people, and to provide incentives for the other sectors to grow. And that remains our policy. And why it remains our policy? Because the window for oil and gas is not as big as we think. And I'm sure when you hear more presentations later, you will realize that the world is shifting away from fossil fuel. And maybe in another 5 years from today, or maybe another 10 years from today, the demand for fossil will not be the same. And if the demand is not the same, but supply remains constant, obviously the price will fall. And the price may fall to such a level that it becomes not profitable for any oil company to be engaged in oil production. That is a sad reality. We may very well be heading down that road, where oil companies may be forced to shut down their operations because the sector is no longer profitable, because the demand is not there for it. And every conference you go to, people speak of the transition, green energy, clean energy. And it is happening. If you look at Europe, Europe is a leader in it. And don't underrate the African countries either. Because many times a lot of people underrate the development in the African countries. I can tell you that many African countries have started to develop renewable energy. Some of them have actually advanced in their transition to renewable energy. Many of them, as a matter of fact. I read an article recently, there are about 5 or 6 countries that have transitioned fully to renewable energy. And I believe of those 5 or 6, 2 are from the continent of Africa. So Africa is actually a leader in that, even though they have so many natural resources like Guyana. And we have been looking at their example. We have been looking at what they're doing and using it rather as an example to us. Because while we continue to develop the hydrocarbon sector, we are still transitioning. We are still moving towards renewable energy. And that is captured in our low carbon development strategy, the expanded version of 2030, which this year ties wonderfully into. Because the low carbon development strategy of 2008-2009 focused heavily on the green economy and our forests and green credits. But it was expanded to include the blue economy as well and biodiversity, because the conversation that is resonating around the world today, especially with climate financing, it is not only green credits anymore. It is about blue credits. It is about biodiversity credits as well. Because countries like Guyana, we are in a position to benefit from our natural forests and our natural resources. And we should. And we should, because we have preserved our forests, our biodiversity, our marine space for centuries. It has been preserved by ancestors and others to follow. There are not many countries in the world that can boast the type of resources that we have in Guyana, the forests that we have in Guyana, and the water resources that we have in Guyana. As a matter of fact, it's only the 2 major continents in the world today that can boast of this, which is Africa, where we have the Congo Basin, and in South America, where we have the Amazon basin. The two major standing forests in the world, with most of the world's biodiversity and fresh water, lies in the south. And that is why there have been so much call, and we are part of it too, to ensure that the global south, there is better collaboration and cooperation among countries in the global south, because we are contributing significantly to the fight against climate change. We have most of the natural resources. We have most of the forests. We have most of the biodiversity in the global south. But yet we are not recognized for it. And yet the global south is being pressured into total preservation and conservation as against development and enrichment of people's life. And that is why we have to lead this fight and to ensure that our mantra in the global south is to balance economic development with environmental sustainability. And all of us as Guyanese should want that. We want a better life for our people, but at the same time, we will live up to our high environmental credentials. And that is what this institute will help young people to fully understand. We have heard and we have learned a lot about our forests. Many of our people live in the forest. It's part of our way of life. But we haven't ventured so much into our blue economy, as they call it. The blue economy or marine space. And this is a very good venture initiative by the University of Guyana. I think the University of Guyana Vice Chancellor and the team must be commended for launching such an institute with a wide range of programs that was highlighted by Mr. De Silva. And again, you will see it is conservation as well as economic activities involving, which is ideal for the new economy that's being built out with port management, port security, but still you have the traditional marine biology studies engage in it and involved and cooperate with it. So I think it will be very attractive to our young people now. I know that might be a bit of a challenge that all of us will need to work on, us as leaders, the government, opposition, everybody else, and not only leave it up to the University of Guyana, but to generate interest in young people to come into this field. Because that is a problem in our society today, especially among our young people. And whenever I speak to young people, that I mention this because it's an issue I've been teaching for a number of years, and I know it is an issue that many of our students are not going into the science and technology streams at the secondary level, but they're heading towards more into business and arts. And there is this perception that going into business and arts, it is easier to pass CXC. But when you go into the pure science and technology, it is more difficult. And that is the only motivating factor, I believe, that most students at the third form level use in choosing a stream. So I think all of us here need to do much more in terms of providing the guidance to grade 9 students, especially because that is where you stream and you go into a specific area of study. I myself, you heard I was a student of Mr. De Silva. I myself started university doing Chem Bio, chemistry as a major, biology as a minor. That is when I wanted to be a doctor, right? But I guess it didn't turn out too bad. Yeah, indeed, I wanted to be a doctor at that time in my life. Maybe because of guidance too, and because of that, I was in the science stream at the New Amsterdam Multilateral School right here in Borbice. So I had that background coming up, and then I realized, you know what? It will take a number of years, be very costly. You know, those days coming from Borbice, it's not easy, especially when you're renting an apartment, living with friends, sharing bills. And those were some of the reasons why I decided that I'm going to take a shift. Because even though, and I probably never say this before publicly, but even though my parents will say, no, we will support you, I knew that financially they were not that sound to take me through the entire program and to specialize too. And you know, that the University of Guyana is something we get, well, we'll address it soon, that law and medicine, you don't get student loan. You don't get student loan for that. Well, in the 90s, I don't know if it's changed. So I know and I realized that it was difficult at that time on my own. So coming back to the point of all of us having a role to play in getting our young people to be more inclined into studying the pure sciences, the technology field, I think it is a collective approach for all of us in the country to start working on this. Because otherwise, we will suffer as a country. And especially for the natural resources sector, I might not be the minister forever. But whoever takes over our country must go on. So we need young people to start studying in those areas. We have one of the fastest growing oil and gas economy in the world in this little country that we call Guyana, our country. But we may not have enough people to work in the sector in another few years from now because our intake at the University of Guyana for the program is in the 20s. Is in the 20s. We graduated 24 students from the institute right here in Port Morant a few months back. So it's always in the 20s. But we will need much more than that to work in the sector. It's not only about working with Exxon, but it's working with all the other operators and the contractors, tier 1, tier 2 contractors. Everybody believes that you have to work with Exxon to be in the oil and gas sector. But Exxon is just one player. It's just one player. So I must again commend the VC and the team for taking this initiative, which I think is timely and necessary, especially that our economy is growing out now, and that you recognize that port management and assessment and risk assessment and health and safety especially would be key areas as we move forward, because that is the vision, that is the path in which we are traveling towards in a new Guyana. In the past, these things nobody would study because there is no jobs available in this field. Today, there is much, much more. And this, I think, ties in wonderfully into our low carbon development strategy of 2030, where it is extended to the blue economy, and also our plans to expand our protected areas. Today, our 5 protected areas in Guyana covers about 8 to 9% of our total land mass. We have made a commitment to double that in another 2 years from now and to move it to 30% by 2030. And in doing so, our marine space will also be included in it. So I'm happy to mention that because I think that would be of importance to the director and deputy director, that our marine space will be a part of the protected areas as we keep that commitment of 30 by 2030. And also the restoration of our biodiversity, again 30% by 2030. But I would envision that naturally, if we expand our protected areas, then there will be some amount of restoration with regards to our biodiversity. And finally, I don't know how much time was given, so I intend to use the entire half hour and to maybe. And finally, we are working again. I think the director and deputy director would like to hear that we are working on what we will call an environmental oil spill bill, which will be laid in Parliament when we resume after the recess. We are in recess right now. That's why my friend Ricky's in Borbis. By the way, that's his call name. He's Mr. Ramsru, but we know each other well. Yeah, so as soon as we go back in Parliament, we will table that bill to deal with oil spill, the environment, clean up from any possible, God forbid that we don't have, but not only from oil and gas operation offshore, but the transportation of fuel and oil. Because in many countries, you have these issues. They're not oil producing countries, but you have issue when a tanker would sink and create an oil spill. Right? So the bill will cover all of that. And how do we deal with marine life restoration, the cleanup and the restoration of it? The guilty party will be held accountable to ensure that all this happens. It's not about building back a wharf if it is damaged, or replacing a buoy if that was damaged, or the harbor bridge if that is the case, but it is the cleanup and restoration of our marine life as well too. So that is a big part of that bill. So I'm sure that you will be happy to hear about that, and that will be in Parliament. Well, before the end of the year, we hope that that bill will pass in the National Assembly, and we will start enforcing these things as we move forward. So once again, let me thank you, BC and the team, for having me here and permitting me to speak, and also to commend you and the team for the work that you've been doing, more so with this particular initiative, which I think is very timely and necessary. Thank you. Best wishes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Barrett, for outlining the importance of the center in the context of national development. And as I listened to Minister Barrett, I kept looking at a theme that we have here, facing the future, exploring waters, enriching lives. And indeed, the center is ensuring that they have a balance in terms of preservation as well as economies. Thank you. And so we have come to the second part of the program where we're going to have brief remarks from our partners and our building donor. And first up would be Mr. Mohendra Prasad, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nan Prasad Group of Companies.
Madam Chair, all protocol observed. I just want to go back a few years ago where myself and the University of Guyana, we have been having a lot of conversation about the agriculture sector and the needs that to make sure that we have a strong agriculture sector. And we found out that we need a lab where we can test soil and water so that farmers can understand the type of fertilizers and all of that to use, and even water testing, so as to understand if a fish can grow and how fast it can grow with testing of water. That conversation have led to the turning of soil and the building of this space. From completion, we have our lab up and running, and I wouldn't say that it's fully utilized, but it is being utilized. And then we create the next space for the organic fertilizer, which can be done right here, and to make the facility more usable and more friendly to the Region 6 and other region. With this here today, the next level that we took it, it's a very great initiative, and I must thank the government of Guyana and University of Guyana for this big step to bring this program in Guyana in quarantine. If we can really make full use of it and have, again, students in the 20s to graduate every year, I think it's a good start for us, and the one graduates from every family can achieve. Something like this, when we start to have a meeting, that this is program, it's important to start in Guyana, and Region 6 is the best place. And this is the right best location, I was very excited, and I given no objection to it because I said, we want the place to become active, and having this extra subject into the university, it would be wonderful and make the place very friendly and active and fully utilized. So once again, I'm happy to have this program in Region 6 in this space, and the University of Guyana and the government will always be a partner. The company will always partner to make this region a region strong in agriculture. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mohindra Prasad, we thank you for the commitment of Nan Prasad to the work that has been done at the University of Guyana, Berbice campus, and we look forward to our continued engagement with you and your company. At this time, we have a slight change in the program because I'm now going to invite Minister Edgell to address us. And this will be followed by the official unveiling. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sessional Chairperson, for the avoidance of mistakes. I would like to stand on the protocols already established. Joining you this afternoon for the launching of this institute, it is something that I believe is of great significance, and it's very important for us as a country at this juncture when we relate to what is planned and what the future looks like. One of the things that President Ali and the government have been seeking to do is to change the thinking from only addressing the now and what benefits and what can gain political capital. But we have to think about the future and legacy. And that is why you would have heard consistently we've been talking about 2030 and beyond. The establishment of this institute helps significantly in preparing Guyana for 2030 and beyond. The University of Guyana must be commended for this initiative, and I joined with my colleague, Minister Barrett, in making such commendation public. Water is an essential part of our everyday life in Guyana, permeating both the mundane and the complex aspects of our lives. Yet oftentimes, while traversing these waterways, the ordinary person takes for granted two things. One, the fact that there is life below the water. And secondly, the way in which these very waterways preserve our existence. Our waterways provide more than just a mode of transportation. They provide us with a significant source of food. Moreover, the ocean is the largest carbon sink, absorbing greenhouse gases and significantly mitigating the impact of climate change. Blue carbon, such as mangroves, tidal marshes, seagrass, meadows, they sequester and store more carbon per unit area than terrestrial forests. They also protect coastal communities from floods. In Berbice, there's a large fishing community that not only produce a large portion of the seafood consumed on the local market, but also provides a means of income for a substantial part of the population in this region. Brackish water shrimp production is one of the initiatives that is unique to Berbice, and the government of Guyana has made significant investments in this niche area. In January of this year, the earnings from brackish water shrimp production for the period January to November 2023 was pegged at 1.3 billion Guyana dollars. Additionally, in June of this year, during the observation of Fisher Folk Day, the Minister of Agriculture indicated that in 2023, 36,396 metric tons of seafood was harvested in the fishing industry, representing an increase of 37.8 percentage points. While aquaculture industry was also progressing as well, growing by 75% in 2023. The fishing industry is certainly critical to Guyana's development, and we are committed to ensuring that it develops in a sustainable way. Minister Barrett, a few moments ago, eloquently elucidated the government's position of how we will grow the petroleum industry while ensuring the sustainability of the other sectors. And I don't need to repeat that. The FAO estimates that around 58.5 million people are employed worldwide in primary fish production alone, of which approximately 21% are women. And every one of us in this room know how important that constituency called women. I see a few people shaking their heads. The men don't like that. We are measured on what happens among women on the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have to keep encouraging that. So whether this is subsistence or secondary sector workers and their dependents, it is estimated that around 600 million livelihoods depend, at least partially, on fisheries and agriculture. And most of this number live in developing countries and are small-scale artisanal farmers, fishers, and fish farmers. They certainly bring the importance of the industry into sharp focus. The way in which Guyanese earn from our water resources have also diversified over the years, with water-based tourism activities gaining popularity. In the Berbice area, both West and East Berbice, We're now seeing boat tours along the Mahaiku River, the Kanji Creek, just to name a few. And what we are observing here is the myriad ways in which our water bodies are deeply interconnected with our livelihoods. Yet these very waterways upon which we are so heavily dependent are in crisis, facing three main challenges that I would like to identify. The negative impact of climate change, pollution, and the loss of biodiversity caused by overexploitation and other human action. We got to prosper as a country, but we also have to do so in a sustainable manner. So it's high time that we focus on scholarship, on the examination and chronicling of the marine and riverine resources that are available to us as a nation, with a view of its sustainable usage and rehabilitation where necessary. For taking this remarkable step in the right direction, we join again to commend the University of Guyana. And frankly, when I got the invitation to join here today, I was not as wise in terms of the information and the scope and depth at which you are attempting. And I think that is very, very interesting. The government of Guyana, too, has made strides in its own related ways as it relates to harnessing our ocean resources to contribute to both climate change action and national development. We have been embracing the further development of our marine resources along a blue economy pathway, which embodies all the principles outlined in our economic development model, which is the low carbon development strategy. And we want to ensure that we see resource efficiency and social inclusion as basic outcomes. In Guyana, when we discuss the blue economy, it is cross-sectorial. As Minister of Public Works, I have responsibility for one aspect of that. But the Minister of Agriculture, particularly the Fisheries Department, they share some responsibility. The Ministry of Natural Resources, of course, when it comes to dealing with the environment and managing what we all are happy about, because it provides us with an opportunity to develop Guyana and the other sectors of oil and gas. In 2021, we launched our Maritime Economy Plan. This plan was created under the Commonwealth Marine Economies Program, which was launched in 2016 with the aim to support 17 countries of the Caribbean and Pacific small islands developing states in converting their marine environments and making the most of their maritime resources to catalyze sustainable economic development. As a signatory to the Commonwealth Blue Charter, Guyana is committed to this process. Guyana's Maritime Economy Plan provides an overview of the existing maritime economy of Guyana and set out priorities and actions that aim to help Guyana demonstrate a clear vision and direction that takes account of national issues, international commitments, and the challenges of a small developing state. Actions support economic growth, livelihoods and jobs, and a reduction in losses from natural hazards, extreme weather events, and climate change. The overall objective is to help grow the national economy in a way that reflects the aims of the Commonwealth Charter, including good governance, sustainable development, gender equality, while recognizing the need of small and vulnerable states. We recognize that progress towards a blue economy can help to achieve a range of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 14, Life Below Waters, SDG 5, Gender Equality, and SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy, and SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. The Ministry of Public Works, too, has also recognized its critical role in supporting the livelihoods of coastal dwellers and individuals who rely on our waterways for survival, as well as the mitigation of the effects of climate change. We have invested significantly in sea defenses, structures, and other aspects to protect us, and will continue to do so, working in collaboration with local communities to meet their growing needs. Two things I would like to bring to your notice is that in recognizing the importance of the blue economy, His Excellency the President has put in place a cabinet subcommittee to look at the future of water transportation in Guyana, to accommodate whether it's tourism, light manufacturing, heavy manufacturing and movement of goods by way of the Deepwater Harbor, which will be built in the Berbice area, looking at what will be required in the future. Maybe we can have vessels that operate in a safer manner that would not interrupt life below our rivers and the ocean. Maybe we can have greater efficiency with less pollution by our transport system. Those who are fully aware that would know that one of the major challenges in shipping and logistics that we have to address is what happened at ports when vessels arrive, the pollution that take place. I think some islands of the Caribbean, they have already introduced a pollution tax so that when the cruise liners come in, because they have to deal with the garbage, they have to deal with the waste. It's not just the cost of moving it, but the impact of its destruction, storage, or reuse can have on the environment that needs to be addressed. As the University of Guyana continues to build out this institute, I'm satisfied that its existence and the work that it will undertake is in line with the global thrust for the sustainable use, management, and protection of our marine and riverine resources. I trust that you will tap into the resources made available by the Maritime Economy Plan. Additionally, the Ministry of Public Works is committed to supporting such a worthwhile initiative. I would like to use this opportunity at the launch to encourage young Guyanese, those who would like to develop career, to consider diversifying their studies from what is normal and traditional to go into some of these specific and specialized areas that have been outlined, knowing fully that the future of Guyana depends on resources that are found in our oceans and in our rivers, and how we have to ensure that that is used in a sustainable manner. I close by commending all the parties and the stakeholders for collaboratively getting this done. Martin Carter, our great national poet, says, we're all involved. We're all consumed. And he further wrote that if we don't swim together, we will sink together. So government, the academic community, the private sector, our students, scientists, and researchers, we all have to become more aware, and let's do this together. And part of the low carbon development strategy is not only the setting up of a biodiversity institute or center, but it's for us to also learn how we can take economic advantage. The pharmaceutical industry and several other industries can benefit from research. And that is why I'm happy that we are focusing on this. And the future is bright when we do it together. So with these remarks, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for emphasizing the importance of waterways to livelihoods and for pledging the commitment of your ministry to supporting the work of the center. We do look forward to that support. At this time, we are going to have the official unveiling, which will happen to my right. And I would like to invite our honorable ministers, the Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Director, Mr. Bernard, Mr. Da Silva, and anyone else who is Mr. Nan Prasad, and anyone else who is interested in witnessing the unveiling, you are invited to join. For those who are online, please stay tuned. We are going to return to the regular program after the unveiling is finished. Okay. Yes. You're now going to listen to the Vice President of Conservation International Guyana, and that would be Mr. Curtis Bernard, who is here.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, and thank you for the invite, VC, and the team. Allow me to congratulate you on the official launch of this center that I think is extremely important for the achievement of what both honorable ministers spoke about, balancing development with nature. We see this as a very important opportunity for Guyana, And at Conservation International Guyana, this is central to our strategy and central to how we support and how we partner with entities. So we look forward to partnering with the university on this venture and on other ventures that will actually see Guyana realizing its potential to really show and demonstrate to the world a new and different and essential way of developing with nature. So again, congratulations and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard, and especially for keeping within the time frame. And next, we're going to hear from Professor Andrew Spencer from the Caribbean Maritime University, and I understand that that's going to be a recording that will be played.
The Caribbean Maritime University is extraordinarily excited to be a part of the University of Guyana's launch of IMAREE. In a time when there's a dearth of research in the Caribbean on areas of importance which are existential, we are delighted that this initiative has been embarked upon. We want to give kudos to the leadership of the University of Guyana, Vice Chancellor, Professor Mohammed Martin and her team for having the vision to do this. The Caribbean Maritime University has always been at the cutting edge of research, and so we're happy to be not only partners in what will happen with IMAREE, but in terms of our general partnership. The CMU launched an MOU with the University of Guyana, and we are starting to see the fruit of this partnership emerge. And we think that IMAREE will be an important part of moving us forward. Its focus on riverine eco biodiversity and other areas of interest, marine interest and marine environmental concerns to the CMU will be catalytic in ensuring that this partnership thrives. Most importantly, I think that universities have to play their role in the region in being thought leaders and in driving the discourse around things that will enable the region to be at its very best self. And that is why IMAREE considers port management, it considers economic issues, it considers aquatic pharmaceuticals, all exciting areas. Very importantly for us is that marine engineering and marine transportation, which is critical to our own operations at the Caribbean Maritime University, will feature in the overall approach that IMAREE will take. Very importantly, we are proud of the CMU's programs in marine biotechnology, and I'm sure that we'll find synergy in all of this. The CMU continues to be your valued partner. Together, we will move this region forward. Today is an important day in the history of the Caribbean region. Thank you, University of Guyana. Thank you to the team that's leading this.
Now we're going to hear from Miss Shelby Jilks from the Guyana Marine Conservation Society.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols established. It is with great pride and enthusiasm that I, not only representing the Guyana Marine Conservation Society, but as a Berbetian myself, join you. It is with great pride that I join you today for the launch of IMAREE. This marks a significant point in our journey towards preserving and sustainably managing Guyana's resources, particularly in the marine and the coastal landscape. And our recent MOU with the University of Guyana reflects our mutual commitment to fostering research, education, and community engagement, particularly on our coast. And together, we can build the capacity of our future leaders, equip them with the knowledge and skills needed to address the challenges facing our marine ecosystems, and ensure that the wonders of our coastal regions can be enjoyed by generations to come. I'll close by saying that GMCS's doors are always open, figuratively as we've recently signed our MOU, and literally as the Imbutero Research Center located in Region 1, is always open to IMAREE students, researchers, and partners alike. So thank you, and we look forward to continued collaboration with the University of Guyana.
Thank you, Ms. Jills, and the feelings is reciprocated. We look forward to the continued collaboration. At this time, we are going to hear from Dr. Arthur Potts, the leader of the Marine Sciences program at the University of Trinidad and Tobago.
The Institute for Marine and Riverine Ecologies and Economies, IMAREE, on your launch. We are very pleased. We have been very happy to be a part of the visit recently from the Vice Chancellor. Unfortunately, there was a way to be able to do some research work, but some of my colleagues mentioned that they had a really good time and a very short visit, of course, with the Vice Chancellor, and a lot was said that had of us very excited and interested in continuing our collaboration with the University of Guyana. The University of Trinidad and Tobago is already in collaboration with other important areas of study. And of course, this matter of the fisheries and aquaculture, freshwater and marine sciences, very, very important to the Caribbean and of course to Guyana. And we in Trinidad and Tobago have started, and we've been doing some work with this matter since 2010. So we have about 14 years experiences so far in the Marine Sciences programs, where we offer a diploma, we offer a bachelor's degree, we offer a master's of sciences degree, and of course there's MPhil and PhD programs. So our faculty has had some really good exposure and experiences doing both in-classroom work and of course research work. And we are ready and willing and looking forward to our collaboration with IMAREE to do whatever is required so that this very important program launched today and very much pointed out to be a very important area by both ministers. I was very excited with the kind of information put up by the ministers. Your ministers are very, very much informed, and of course what is required is clearly on the lips of these ministers. And Trinidad and Tobago and the University of Trinidad and Tobago is willing and looking forward to our part to play as a partner in assisting IMAREE in achieving its goals. Without any further ado, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting us, and we do look forward to that collaboration with the University of Guyana for this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Potts. And yes, the University of Guyana also looks forward to that collaboration with the And this time we're going to hear from Mr. Denzel Roberts, Chief Fisheries Officer at Fisheries Department, Ministry of Agriculture. And this online presentation will be followed by Dr. Darwin Cummings, Chief Meteorological Officer at the Ministry of Agriculture. Mr. Roberts.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, for those observed. The Fisheries Department, I'm sorry for being to use my feedback out of town, that my connection is unstable. The Fisheries Department is very pleased to be part of this important event. We recognize that this is an initiative that was needed quite a long time ago, and we're very happy that it's finally here. We recognize the importance of the marine space and, of course, the increasing developments here. And I must say that the fisheries industry was and is a very significant player in the economic terms. And now we are starting to share space with other players. As such, we need to be able to manage, promote, and regulate this maritime space in a sustainable manner. And I'm certain that this institute will contribute to providing qualified personnel to perform these tasks. With regards to our inland areas, we would have started some regulations regarding fisheries and agriculture. I'm sure that this institute will contribute to helping us to develop this space also. So I would like to say that the Fisheries Department is committed to working along and supporting this institute. And we would like to wish success to this institute, and we are here to assist in any way. So thank you very much, and good success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. I stand on the re-established protocol, which is I'm very pleased to be associated with this launch of the Institute for Marine and Riverine Ecologies and Pharma. It's a very personal perspective because I'm a past student of the University of Guyana, I'm always looking for the University of Guyana for myself. But from a high level perspective, I'm also very, very pleased because a lot of what I see in the document presented to me aligns with the work of the Health and Ecological Service. In the public space, Hydromet is by and large seen as a public weather service provider. But if you look at the water research act which established the mandate of the Health and Ecological Service, you recognize that a lot of what we are supposed to do, now the first thing that is mentioned in the law is the management of water resources, whether those water resources are in the atmosphere, on the ground, under the ground, or in the marine space. We are therefore always pleased, I think, that the drafters of the law recognize the magnitude of the responsibility that is placed on the hydrogeological service, and therefore they allowed the service to establish agreements and memorandum of understanding with various institutions. And I think from that perspective, I'm pleased that we now have an institution within the framework of the University of Guyana that we can bear some of this responsibility with. I also want to point out too that having reviewed what I think are the prospective programs for the institute, I want to point out here that the interactions between the ocean and the atmosphere cannot go unrecognized. And a lot of what we experience in Guyana in terms of our weather climate is driven by the fact of ocean environment. I think there's a lot of scope in that area for research and for study as well. So I'd like to really engage the institute to begin to talk about how we can work in those particular areas. And from that perspective as well, I should share that Hydromet later this year should in fact be launching out the 2 megawatt of buoys in the marine space that allows us to start to collect some of that marine data that hopefully will feed into institutions like the one we're celebrating today. And I believe that that sets the groundwork for our work in the future. I also want to share that we have also invested in training of our staff in the area from oceanography, and we've already started to talk to some extent with Mara about how we can share this responsibility as well as the GMCS. So I think there's a lot going on, there's a lot of exciting areas for us to explore together. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the University of Guyana, congratulate the crafters of this particular institute, and really welcome you to this work that we have ongoing, and really look forward to working with you and expanding the work for the benefit of our country and for the benefit of humanity. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cummings, and we also look forward to working with you. And with that, we have come to the end of the presentations from our partners. And I know it's quite reassuring, Mr. De Silva and Mr. Bernard, that you are not alone. Our partners have pledged support. They're willing, they're ready, and I think they're capable and able. I hope that as you work in the center, you will exploit the opportunities that you have to collaborate with them. So we are doing a little shift now. We're going to have some entertainment. And with that, I'm going to invite Miss Trishata Semple, UGGT Talent Ambassador, a student of the Faculty of Social Sciences, Bachelor's in International Relations, University of Guyana, to provide some entertainment. Thank you.
Again, Mike. Hi. Okay, this is good. Good afternoon to everyone. Right. And welcome to the official opening of the Water World. And a pertinent thing on the program, it says facing the future, exploring the waters, and enriching lives. And the water is a beauty. It is an attraction. It is rich. It is wealth. And it is Guyana, land of many water. So you know what we have to do as the Institute for Marine and Riverine Ecologies and Economies? We have to keep protecting our waters. All right. So we have to protect we water from the strangers. Patrol we waters like a ranger. Keep we riverine from harm and danger. For a better ecosystem and better tourism. Don't kill out the fishes in the water. Right? Give it a try. Thanks. Land of the free. A little more volume. Thanks. All right. We could. Oh, you know. Land of the free. Work along with we. For this beautiful country, land of many waters, rivers and seas and oceans. This is Guyana, land of many waters. We got to protect we waters from the strangers. Patrol we waters like a ranger. Keep we riverine from harm and danger. For a better ecosystem and better tourism. Can't come trick we in we water. Can't come pollute we land and river. Can't destroy we wildlife or marine life. Guyana will shine. Guyana will shine. Guyana is a land of many water. 83,000 square miles. Guyana, Brazil and Suriname, Venezuela. All we share the same borders. In Guyana, got three main rivers. Demawara, Burbis, and Demawara. Fixed races, they are occupier. We got island gold and timber. Make me tell you, not a blade of grass, not a drop of water, not a cockabelly, not one tilapia, I'm missing not one fish from out the water. Sustainability, it's a the key. Let's work together, all in unity. We need our waters and it need we to maintain it for prosperity. Guyana is a land of many waters. 83,000 square mile Guyanas, Brazil, Suriname, and Venezuela. All we share the same borders. In Guyana, got three main rivers. Essequibo, Burbis, Demawara. 6 races, they are occupier. We got island gold and timber. So we got to protect we waters from the strangers. Patrol we waters like a ranger. Keep we riverine from harm and danger. For a better ecosystem and better tourism. Let's maintain our marine and riverine life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Temple, and thank you also for that timely reminder, Mr. De Silva, Mr. Calvin Bernard. You have to make sure you collaborate with our Coast Guards because you have to have protection. Thank you. And now I'm going to invite Professor Emmanuel Cummins, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Engagement, to provide the closing remarks. Professor Cummins.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. All protocols observed, but indeed, let me recognize and compliment our Vice Chancellor for this and team, the University of Guyana, and all the collaborators across the country across the region for this significant, historic, and great initiative. You know, as I sat there and I listened to all of the speeches and thinking that after a number of years of becoming experts in the green economy, and with a lot of the successes within the Faculty of Natural Sciences, the Faculty of Earth and Environmental Sciences, and all of those academic units that that have done significant work with respect to our green economy, I think that's a foundation and a platform for the blue economy to follow and to build on. You know, the word Guyana, I guess we all know, but land of many waters. And we have many other resources, minerals, or geological sciences. Over the years has become one of our main areas of ensuring that we have the kinds of graduates to explore it. But I think it's an opportunity now for us to, and as a university, whose role is to ensure that we have the relevant expertise to make use of our resources that will contribute to our growth and development. One of the things that I would want to see very early, even as we spoke about the benefit, we have a long list of programs that will create new avenues for research in the marine sciences, new avenues for collaboration with other and a lot of our donors and all our collaborators in their remarks. They do speak about how they will work with the University of Guyana for us to build and develop all of these areas that are listed here. One of the things I think is there's a great opportunity, and I would want to, I think, the institute where we have conferences in environmental sciences, we can have an international conference with respect to the marine sciences hosted right here in Guyana. I think that is something which will help us to grow. It will also, even as a young institute, it will provide us to even have further in-depth conversations and collaborations with experts across the world in the marine sciences. To the kids in Berbice, this is a great opportunity for you. By the way, I didn't tell them I'm a Barbician, right? And I'm always happy. I do not think that I come to Berbice as often as possible, but I'm always happy that the director of the Berbice campus would always remind me that I need to visit Berbice. Actually, I'm here in twofold. I'm coming as part of this launch, but also at a funeral of a relative in Berbice who has lived for 98 years, or being buried today. Mr. James Brown, Berbician, Berbicians do live very long. He lived for 98 years. So from here, I'll be going down to your Auckland to be part of the funeral service. But and so to the kids of Berbice, to the students, and there's an opportunity. Growing up as a kid, you had to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an economist. And then as time goes by, you can become an engineer. But I think the marine sciences eventually is going to be in that, will be given that sort of recognition. It's a significant part of our economy. It's science. Most of the world is made up of water, and Guyana no different. Even in our geographical division, it's about the Berbice River, it's about the Essequibo River, and it's about the Demar River. Either you're West Bank, East Coast, or the Atlantic Ocean. So even in our demographics, it is related to our our water resources. And so it's an important element of our development. And so I really would wish to give my full support as the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Engagement to this institute, which will continue the great trend of all the other programs within the university of enhancing the quality and the recognition that the University of Guyana has known for across the world in other programs. And so I certainly see no different respect to this institute that is long overdue. I want to thank specifically Mr. Nan Prasad for the kind donation to which he would have made to make this. He's from the rice industry, but also and he's always been giving tremendously in that area. But he understands that rice can't go without water, right? And so we need pure and efficient water. But the other point I just want to make before I close, it will reminisce me if I don't mention it, is your pharmaceuticals. When you go to the market and you see the cartilage of the shark is more expensive than the shark itself. Think about that, right? And there's some fish where the egg is more expensive than the fish. So, I was having a conversation with one of these fishmongers, and we were saying that he makes a profit only on the eggs. He can give away the fish, You can sell the fish, but the profit comes from the eggs. And in the shark industry, the profit comes from the shark, the shark fin and the cartilage, because these are substances that have tremendous medicinal properties, And so there's quite a lot of medical, pharmaceutical benefits from our water resources. Most of us die from cancer or cardiovascular disorders. And there's a type of fatty acid that you find in seaweed, in fishes and all of that is beneficial to us. So there's tremendous nutritional and pharmaceutical importance. And I do hope all of that will strengthen our research in that particular area. So again, I really wish to commend the director and all of those who would have played a significant part in us getting to this point and having an institute that, to my mind, in years to come, can very well be one of our flagship programs within the institution. And so I thank you and I wish you all the best. And we look forward to not only students from Berbice, but I do hope that, as the university grows, even though the program might be located here, but it provides an opportunity for students from all parts of Guyana to come here and to live here. To live here, director, you build a dorm so that they can come to live, and also students can come from the Caribbean. Guyana is a center for agriculture, for aquaculture, for water resources. And so even as we focus on students from Berbice, let us also go beyond that and make this a center for students and researchers from all of you. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Cummins, for adding to the list of activities that the center could do. And as the center grows and expands, we do look forward to its first international conference. We're closing off now. But before I hand over to Mr. Troy Brooms, who would be a lecturer in the center, to do the official vote of thanks in my own personal capacity as the chair, I would like to say thank you all for being here with us. I know it has been a long program, but thank you for staying, and I wish you well.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Troy Brooms. So when I got into Berbice today, I was having some laughs with some of the maintenance guys outside, and they were telling me that I have the role of the least important speaker here today, but judging from the length of this program, I find myself in a position feeling like the most anticipated speaker here today. So let's get right into it. On behalf of the university, we would like to thank the Minister of Natural Resources, Honorable Vikram Bharat, Minister of Public Works, Honorable Juan Edgil, all the member of parliaments. Thank you for taking your time out today from your busy schedules to be here. We'd also like to thank the Chancellor of the university, Professor Edward Greene, Vice Chancellor, Professor Paloma Mohammed, for valiant efforts and determination to spearhead such an important and necessary undertaking in a time when the country needs it most. Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Emmanuel Cummins, the University of Guyana, Berbice Campus Director, Professor Gomes, and his entire team. Gratitude is also extended to the entire University of Guyana team, or Institute Director, Mr. Calvin Bernard, or Deputy Director, Mr. De Silva, and the rest of the Institute team, or partners. Noteworthy mention must be made to Mr. Mahindra Prasad, CEO of Non Prasad Group of Companies, who donated the building we're currently standing and seated in. Other collaborators and supporters like the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Andrew Spencer, representatives from the Maritime Department, Fisheries Department, and Hydromed Department of the Ministry of Agriculture, University of Trinidad and Tobago, Conservation International, World Wildlife Fund, Guyana Conservation Society, Iwakarama International Center for Rainforest Conservation and Development. Special mention must be made to Miss Semple for a cultural performance. I was told that it was written over the past few days, so that's especially commendable. Thank you to the technical team and custodial staff, all those that came together to get the building ready and prepare for this event, in particular, Miss Hema Parmal, members of the media, everyone joining us online. We are extremely excited to get started, and we hope that you all share the same enthusiasm as we do for the future work we'll be doing in the maritime and marine space that all aims towards the betterment of Guyana and the external region. So thank you all again. Have a great rest of your day and safe travels. Oh, and there's refreshments, so please indulge before you leave.
Before we close, a shout out to the Coast Guard. I understand they're online. We look forward to your collaboration.
We got to protect we waters from the strangers. Patrol we waters like a ranger. Keep we Riverine from harm and danger. For a better ecosystem and better tourism. Can't come trick we in we water. Can't come pollute we land and river. Can't destroy we wildlife or marine life. Guyana will shine. Guyana will shine. Guyana is a land of many water. 83,000 square miles. Guyana, Brazil and Suriname, Venezuela. All we share the same borders. In Guyana, got 3 main rivers. Demawara, Berbice, and Demawara. Fixed races, they are occupier. We got island gold and timber. Make me tell you, not a blade of grass, not a drop of water, not a cockabelly, not one tilapia, I'm missing not one fish from out the water. Sustainability, it's a the key. Let's work together, all in unity. We need our waters and it need we to maintain it for prosperity. Guyana is a land of many waters. 83,000